Good afternoon. One of the joys of community living are opportunities just like this, where we can gather together and learn of new opportunities, ask questions of one another, and in thinking of how we approach these sorts of meetings, a quote came to my mind that happens to be my very favorite of the great Maya Angelou. I hope you are familiar with her writings, and this is what she had to say. In her life, she learned that people will forget what you say. People will forget what you do. But, and this is the most important part, people will never forget the way that you made them feel. So let's embrace that as we embark on our town hall.
Thank you, Trish. So how's everybody feeling? Good? That's great news. We're going to start off with good news. Who has good news to share with the group? Don't make me start.
Raise your hand and Lacey or I will bring you the microphone so you can share your good news. But Annie, please start.
Okay, Annie, I'll start. So my good news was that May 15th was my wedding anniversary. And for the last 5 years, I've been asking for the same exact thing for my wedding anniversary. And my husband has finally come through this year. On Friday, I got home and in my driveway was a big yellow dumpster. And I'm really excited. So, interestingly, many neighbors have stopped by and knocked on the door or saw us when we were outside walking dogs and said, "Are you renovating your kitchen or a bathroom?" And I said, "No, we're cleaning out a garage." So for 10 years we've lived in our house and neither of our cars have seen our garage. So as of this morning when I left, our 16-yard, is that right, cubic yard dumpster was just about full, and I'm calling today before I leave for them to come pick it up. So that's my good news. I got my dumpster for my wedding anniversary. Speaking of wedding anniversaries, do we have any in the room or any coming up in the room? No July wedding anniversaries. How about birthdays in the month of July? Oh, we got quite a few. See, birthday? When's your birthday?
July the 11th.
July
In
11th.
other words, I'm a crab.
Cancer, a crab. 7-11. Oh, it's somebody else's at the end of the line.
Okay.
Sue's birthday?
Yeah.
When is it? 82. She's going to be 82. Today! Okay, happy birthday.
I take that all back.
Do we want to sing?
No.
No. Another birthday? Oh, we have people who do want to sing. Happy birthday, dear Sue. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
And we got Perky.
Perky Ryan, July 13th. How about any grandchildren getting married this month? Yes. Mr. Maxwell? When is the big day?
29th.
The 29th of July. Grandchild?
Yes.
Grandchild's getting married here in Virginia?
It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee.
Ooh, hee-haw. Do you have any cowboy boots? Does anybody have a cowboy hat or some boots that they could lend the Maxwells? Any other good news? No? Good movies? Oh, there's some good news. Nancy Boyer has good news. Here comes Lacey.
I just found out our grandson he's going to Tech next year. He is going, and he already has 38 credits.
How about that? That's a smart boy. For those of you who didn't hear, the Boyers have a grandson who's going to Tech next year and already has 38 credits. That's awesome. Take it from a mother who has a kid in college. It's pretty good news. Okay, I'll let everybody think about any other good news, and if you have any you want to share at the end of the meeting, happy to do that. So thank you all for joining us. I can't believe that we've already celebrated July 4th. I enjoyed the lunchtime party yesterday, but most of all, the camaraderie and the music. I brought my husband. I hope some of you got to meet him. He was so excited to see Cedarfield after hearing so much about it over the last few years, and was excited to see all of the new additions and the wellness building and dining, and had a good time. When I think about July 4th, I remember being a teenager, and I was 13 years old, and you can imagine I had braces and a very bad perm. And one summer evening, I was in my bedroom listening to the radio, hoping to hear my favorite song so I could press my tape recorder and tape it while it was playing. Anybody ever do that? Those were the good old days. And my favorite song came on, and I took a chance, and guess what? I was caller number 99. So, my 99th call, all the bells and whistles went off, and I was clearly overjoyed. My prize was a 4th of July harbor cruise in New York with a guest of my choice. As you can imagine, a 13-year-old was pretty excited about that. My choice was my dad, who clearly wasn't nearly as excited as I was. So I put on my bright red high-top sneakers. I bet some of your grandkids or children had those all-star high-top sneakers. I remember exactly what I was wearing. I was decked out in red, white, and blue. And we got into my father's Pontiac Le Mans and headed down the Belt Parkway to Manhattan. Now, granted, that trip usually took us about 20 minutes without traffic. But on the 4th of July, it took us over 2 hours. Still enthusiastic, we parked the car and made our way over to the pier. Much to my surprise, that luxury liner that I had envisioned was just the Circle Line ferry, and the radio station provided us each with 2 coupons for hot dogs. The boat ride itself was miserable, the fireworks were way too loud, and the smell of gasoline on the water made me sick, and I was seasick the whole time. But all in all, come to think about it, it was my best 4th of July ever. Sometimes it's not necessarily about the experience, but about who you share the experience with. Many of you have heard me say over the last month or so that I have a little sticky note on my mirror at home that says, "Pace yourself." I now have that same sticky note on my desk to remind me the same thing. In addition to attending meetings, reviewing budgets, and working with the construction team, I have taken a great deal of time to get acquainted and reacquainted with some of our team members. Let me start off by saying how lucky I am to have them on my team. Our team is absolutely wonderful. They're dedicated, they're knowledgeable, and they're caring. I spent hours learning about where they came from, what brought them to Cedarfield, which are their favorite sports teams, and unfortunately, many of them do not like the Yankees, but most important, about what keeps them here. The one thing I learned that no matter how long their tenure, the best part about being at Cedarfield for all of our team members are the residents. So thank you. You make my job easy. Speaking of great people, our leadership team is here today to share some information with you. Please ask questions. Know that we will be sticking around after the meeting to answer questions as well. And our doors are always open in case you do have questions. Also know that the agenda also highlights a core document review session. And that's just something new I've added to the agenda. And each month moving forward, I will share with you as our residents some information that we typically review as a leadership team and on the Pinnacle Living level as well to get your input and feedback. So this month we will review our accessibility plan. Some residents have worked with us over the last couple of weeks on updating it. And this will be a summary of some of the things that are on it. And again, something for you to go back and think about and give us some input about so that moving forward we make sure that everybody's voices are heard. Okay, thank you. First up is marketing. Emily, come on down.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I am very, very excited to say that we have 8 new residents who are going to be moving in by the end of this month. 3 of those are couples and 2 are singles, and they're moving into a variety of areas within the community. We have most moving into the big house, and 3 of those people are going to be moving, so 1 couple and 1 single who will be moving into the cottages. So that's what's coming up this month, and we're really just so thrilled. They're all very excited to be here. If anything, the family who's moving in on Tuesday, I think, of next week, they've already expressed an interest in joining some of the committees and getting involved. So that I've been hearing more and more from the people that we're bringing in, and so I'm just really excited for them to get here and get their feet on the ground and really start getting involved. And then we had 2 really successful marketing events last week. I'm very proud to say that they were the first events that marketing has held at Cedarfield since the pandemic. And so I'm extremely, I'm just very proud of all of the work that not only my team has done, but all of the team members here who helped us with those events. They went really well. And those were 2 events announcing the changes to our wait list that I know that we've talked about in previous town halls. So we welcomed about 150 people between those 2 days. We had food for them and a really great presentation that led to some really wonderful conversation and questions. And it's just great to see that there are so many people who are so anxious to move here. And with this change, we'll be able to really support them in moving within their timeline and alongside of our own timeline. So that was really great. And then we've been getting a lot of positive feedback from residents who know folks who came, or if you sat in on the events, we appreciate you coming to those as well. And then we've got 6 tours that are set up within the next week with folks who did end up joining that ready to move wait list so that we can get them moved into some of the vacancies that we have right now. So that's been really great too. What else? We're at 93% occupied, and then that number will change real soon. So, so I don't know if anyone has any questions. Those are my updates. Okay, thank you very much.
Sharon Brown in the second row, you're up next.
Good afternoon, all. Just a reminder that the campaign for the windows and carpet cleaning will begin in July 15th. So we got less than a week to go. So give Darlene a call to maintenance department if you want to be interested in having your windows and carpet to be cleaned at that time. And also, the power washer for the cottage will be coming very soon. Soon I get a confirmation dates to let them know when they're coming, then I will place a memo in your mailbox and let you all know when they're receiving this cleaning for you all. And also, we are still in the process of cleaning all the, we are still in the process of cleaning all the hallways in the independent living area. It's gonna take us some time, but we're getting there. And also, we are in the process of cleaning all the porches and cleaning the carpet, and we are placing some of the carpets over in the porches on the outside of the wings. Any questions? Good.
We have a question. Okay, could we bring her the microphone, please? Hold on 1 second. Sharon thought she got off easy there. Thank you, Mariah.
Hi, I'm a
new resident here, just several months, and I want to say that I think Sharon does a fantastic job. I don't understand. I don't understand how she can keep a schedule with all the things that interrupt every schedule she tries to work on. But I am very impressed. Thank you, Sharon.
Well, thank you. I do have a good team members. Oh, they help me with everything. They don't mind. Some might got a grunt, but we pull together and we get it done. It's because we are. That's what we're here for. We for you.
Thank you, Sharon.
So for those of you who haven't noticed, Sharon sometimes is a little nervous to come up and talk, but after compliments like that, she's going to leave the meeting next time. Brittany.
Good afternoon, everybody. I was about to say good morning, but my day has gotten away from me. It's now 3 o'clock. My name is Brittany Ingram Atkins, and I am the healthcare administrator. Updates for us. Tamika has tasked me to giving you guys some updates. We are Medicare certified. Yes. We are very, very excited about that for residents to start using their Med-Aid benefit. We are just waiting on our official Medicare number. Once we have that, then we will move forward in coming up with a plan to officially start allowing residents to use their Med-Aid benefits in our healthcare center. The other update that I have is COVID related. We currently have one resident in health services, or healthcare, and one team member that is positive for COVID, which is why when you guys visit healthcare, you are seeing signs to please wear a mask when you visit and to when you see the residents that are up there. I think that's all I have. Any questions? Wonderful. I hope to see you guys around.
Many of you will probably recognize Lauren from last month's meeting. She's going to come up and give us a quick update on what's going on in assisted living.
Well, hello again. And for those of you who did not have the chance to meet me last time, my name is Lauren Burnett, and I am Cedar Field's Assisted Living Administrator. So during the last town hall meeting, I had discussed some updates on the 4th floor apartment renovations and health services, and how there will be 25 brand new assisted living apartments up there. So my update for today is, as of this morning, Assisted Living's regulator, which is Department of Social Services, came out to do an inspection of those new apartments, and we got the final stamp of approval to fully move forward with that new household, which is wonderful. So she thought it was a beautiful space. She was excited for us. And in addition to the tour itself, she will be updating our license capacity from 85 residents to 157. So we definitely have expanded our capacity with these new apartments, which is great news. So we have already had several residents move into this new household, and we will continue to have move-ins over the next several weeks until we're full. So, like I said, exciting stuff going on in assisted living. Yes, ma'am. I think so. Are we coming around? Yeah, we'll come to you.
I had the opportunity to tour the 4th floor. I believe I was disappointed in the design of the large kitchen and a small living room. I'd like to understand why that was configured that way.
So the question was kind of the design of the apartments, why that the kitchen, just expanding that, kind of juts into the living room and it limits the space on that side. So I can say, as far as the renovations went, we had to work with the space that was previously up there, of course. So we took 2 of what was previously healthcare resident rooms and combined it into 1 to make an apartment. So we had to work with that square footage there. And I know that a lot of residents had expressed that having a bigger kitchen was a priority to them, so therefore we did have to cut into that living room space as a result. So we did end up combining 2 healthcare rooms to create 1 apartment, so hopefully that helps. Go ahead.
The other thing additionally that we needed to consider is, and you saw the apartments, we have large appliances like refrigerators. To make it wheelchair accessible, we had to have enough room for you to turn your wheelchair around with the refrigerator door open and other items open as well. So that does take up a little bit more space. Anybody else see the apartments? Is there anybody in the room who would be interested in seeing the 4th floor apartments? Maybe we can do tours. Yeah. So we'll put that on the calendar, and we'll maybe do some sign-ups at the front desk if that would suit everybody. I think Ms. Rose has a question. We're getting you the microwave. We're getting you the microphone.
You just stole my thunder because that's what I was going to ask about doing the tour before it gets full of it.
Sorry for stealing the thunder.
Okay, my question. I don't think all of the renovated ones have the smaller living area. It seems to me during construction, for various reasons, I was there, and some of them do, but not all of them have that design. Is that correct?
I have not walked through every single one. I've walked through probably 6 or 7 today, and they all looked exactly the same to me. I think they're all the same, but I can look on the plans, and maybe Lacey knows. They're all the same. Lacey has just said they're all the same. Yes, Mr. Smith?
I'm still confused. You say the 4th floor. Now there's 2 4th floors. The 4th floor in the Duke wing and the 4th floor here. Which are you referring to?
We're referring to the 4th floor, which was the old healthcare center.
Now what is the new 4th floor going to be now that we're not using that to move?
So we converted it from our healthcare, our nursing home rooms, to additional assisted living apartments.
And the new 4th floor?
The new 4th floor is healthcare. It's in a healthcare household.
What is the difference in the 4th and the 5th floor then, and the new wing?
They're the same. They're both healthcare accommodations.
I was going to say this might help.
Go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Smith. So I think what's better to understand is the 4th floor area we're talking about is the elevator ride that you take when you come in assisted living's entrance. So where you have the ramp with the red awning, if anyone's familiar with that, if you come in that door and take the elevator up to 4, that's the area we're talking about with the new apartments. So not the newly built household building. Is that helpful?
Yeah. At one time, the 5th floor and the new wing was, I thought was designated healthcare dementia. Is that correct or incorrect?
Yeah, so that 4th and 5th floor you're talking about is healthcare on that side. So the brand new building that went up a couple of years ago now.
No difference in the 4th and 5th floor. Neither one of them is designated for dementia.
I mean, they're both healthcare under the same license, has very similar residents.
One other comment, and I don't mean this to be negative, but the names, I think there's got to be a better way we can name these places. I can't keep this.
I know it's a lot of different names, but at least for this, the new apartments that I'm discussing right now, I mean, the plan is still to call that Garden Grove. So that's an extension of assisted living 3rd floor. So we don't plan on necessarily having a brand new, household neighborhood name to remember. So we're still calling it Garden Grove. So.
It's the first time I've even heard that name.
Yeah. So Garden Grove is our assisted living. Our memory care that's on 2nd floor is called Morning Glory. And then there's 3 separate household names on the healthcare side. So that's Magnolia Meadows, Lavender Lane, and Poppy Place. And Poppy Place is specifically the household that will be, Medicare certified. So I know it's a lot of names, but we'll practice them.
In addition to the names, which I find very, very difficult. In addition to the names, which I find very difficult to understand or have any logic to, there is no directional signs, and I
encourage you, both coming in from assisted living, going into the West Wing, as well as the main entrances, to have directional maps that are larger than the evacuation maps that have been put up elsewhere, so that we can at least find our way where we're going. Staff have been wonderful in directing, but every time I ask a question for direction, I've taken them away from patient care, and that's not what we want. Signs will help that.
Okay. Yeah, we can certainly look into that, especially now that, renovations are at the tail end of being completed and everyone's in place now. That's certainly something we can explore.
Could you go through where the 157 are, like how many are in memory care, how many are third floor, all that sort of thing?
You're right. Yeah. Okay. So what our license capacity is as of right this very second that's posted is 85. So with these 25 new apartments that are opening up, room-wise, we will have 87 apartments. So it's not that we have 157 rooms available, it's the fact that we have couples that like to live together. So that increases, our occupancy there. So we wanted to make sure we had plenty of room if we did have a lot of interest in couples residing together. So it's really and truly 87 rooms, 25 of those being on the 4th floor new area, 42 of those being on 3rd floor assisted living, and 20 total in memory care. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
Laurie, I think one thing that confuses us, the Morning Glory, which is the dementia unit, is you're considered that's part of assisted living, right?
Correct. Memory care is a part of assisted living's umbrella.
Two different licenses. I know when I moved Virginia from assisted living to healthcare, had to start all over with, it was an entirely different license. And I don't think a lot of people understand that Morning Glory is part of assisted living.
That is correct. So the Department of Social Services regulates all of assisted livings across, the state of Virginia. So here that includes, 3rd floor as well as Morning Glory and memory care. So that's all under the same regulator. Now on the healthcare side of things, I know it's a lot of names, but on the healthcare side, it's the Department of Health that regulates. Anything else? Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Lacey's up next.
Good afternoon, everybody. I think as far as the maintenance department, we have a lot going on today. We'll just kind of give an update on where we are with safety, emergency preparedness. That's kind of our big focus right now. We had our consultant that's helping us out walk through this morning, actually this afternoon, early afternoon. We're in pretty good shape, but as everybody knows, emergency preparedness is an ongoing adventure. It's like we're going to always try to update our procedures. What we'd like to do is, I know Eleanor put something on the agenda for a safety training, if you will, for the residents. I think it was on the agenda for next week. We're going to cancel that and hopefully real soon have a safety fair. And we're going to try to do that in here. We're going to try to have different tables set up and go over everything in our emergency preparedness plan. So hopefully just look for that real soon. We're going to try to set that up. That's what the kind of safety fair on the agenda is talking about. We'll try to go over everything in the plan. The next thing is the fire alarm and how the fire department reacts. I know there was an incident this past weekend where the fire alarm went off for an excessive amount of time. We know about it. We did, there's always, extenuating circumstances, but we did find out doing a little research. We just need to provide better training. So it was after hours, and the fire department, it was a different station that doesn't usually respond here, and the security didn't quite understand where to get to the panel to silence the alarm. So we've already done training with security, and we forwarded new maps of the whole campus to the fire department. So hopefully that'll help in the future with stuff going on. And really with the training we provided with security, hopefully that'll help a whole lot quicker, able to at least silence the alarms at 7 o'clock in the morning. The next thing is the air condition in the cafe and try to get in that scheduled to reopen. What we try to do, I've got an update from the contractor, and he's saying it's probably mid-August until that's ready. What we've done is we've sent our HVAC technician out. He's tried to fix the air condition, at least get a little bit more airflow in there, and there's a temporary air condition in the back that he's tried to get running. So hopefully that'll help a little bit, and I'm going to leave it to David Stewart to kind of provide a little bit of what the plan is for on the dining side to get that area reopened. I think as far as for maintenance goes, I think that's about it. I'll add to what Sharon was saying. Her contractors also, for everybody living in a cottage, we are going to send a contractor through to clean all the gutters, so that's kind of goes in with the power washing. So that'll be done for everybody real soon. So once we get the schedule, we'll send that out.
I just wonder if there is a way that we can turn down in some of the apartments the noisy fire alarm. I'm going to lose my hearing. It is so loud in a smaller apartment. Is there any way that it can not be so loud?
I asked the question of the our fire alarm company when we had the issue with the in dining, and he was saying that he could not turn that down. I'll ask that same question in the apartments if there's a way to actually turn that down. So I'll get the answer for you and get back.
If I go out on my patio and close the door, if that's a little better, but I can't always do that.
So I'll get an answer for you.
When the fire alarm went off at 7 something in the morning several days ago, and then there was another one around 11:30, at neither time, as far as I can tell, did the doors close. And I'm wondering if that's a malfunction, or should we expect those doors to close if it's a fire alarm?
So how are the fire alarms set up? And I can make sure everything's working correctly. I'll get with the fire alarm company. We talk about both things. But how it's supposed to set up is the doors will close in the zone. So the zone that is affected, those are the doors that will contain that zone will shut. So until I talk to the fire department, we can go back and see. We can verify that. But that's how it's supposed to work.
Lacey, I wanted to express my appreciation to the workers that you send out to help us with regard to any issues in the apartment, etc. I don't know all their names, but I want them to know that we really appreciate the work that they do.
All right. Yeah, thank you. And I'll let them know too. We have a pretty good group of guys and gals. All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm David Stewart, representing Dining. And so my update is simply more on the cafe. We all are waiting for hopefully the air handlers to arrive sooner than later. In the meantime, with the current plan, people are visiting the dining room in greater numbers, and we're kind of maxing out the dining room. So the cafe folks asked that we try something, and that is if we were to only turn on select pieces of equipment in the cafe. If you read the notice we put out, those are items that are under the exhaust hood. So there's a little bit of ventilation provided with those pieces. I thought that was nice of the cafe folks to want to try to help the residents out by giving a better selection of items, and also maybe relieve a little pressure on the main dining room. So yesterday was the first day, 4th of July. Most people were either away or visiting the main dining room. So we'll see what happens today. Not to mention, we have a good test with it being very warm outside. So we'll see what the temperatures are in the cafe tonight for dinner. Tanika's going to keep me updated. And hopefully we can move forward with what we're doing at the moment. If it does get excessively hot downstairs, we'll have to probably back off of having any equipment on, but they're a pretty resilient group. So just relatively speaking, we're hoping we can keep it below 100. Yeah. So if we can keep it below 100, I think they'll be okay. And that's not me talking, that's them talking. So we'll keep you apprised if you see anything pop up on 973 and 974 that changes those plans. Well, keep an eye out for that. But we'll learn more in the next day or two. So that was the cafe team saying, "Hey guys, we'd like to try to do more." The other pieces of equipment that are in the cafe are not near any kind of ventilation, so their heat simply comes into the cafe and sits there. Kind of like turning your oven on at Thanksgiving and the kitchen gets a little warm. So that's what's going on back there. Beyond that, we're doing very well in dining. Recruitment's been great. We have a fabulous team. We had such a new group of people, the cooks. I was inquiring today and they said the cooks are really coming together and working well as a team. So if you have any questions, concerns, comments, please email me. I respond pretty well to emails. We do have comment cards. We look at them once a week, unless we forget, which we did once. So do email me. Everybody at Cedarfield is first initial, last name at pinnacleliving.org. So please do send any questions, concerns, wants, desires across, and we'll be glad to read them. So any questions of the dining team or me specifically? Okay, well great. I'll be here afterwards. Thanks.
We have one question.
Oh, we have one. Oh, okay.
Did I miss the breakfast service update?
Well, did you miss it? Yes, because I didn't say it. Thank you. Appreciate it. That was on my mental list. Yes. So we are, as some people realize, doing breakfast in the main dining room, so we can offer something hot, and we will continue that for the time being, so that we can continue hot food. The equipment that we're turning on is a deep fryer and a flat top griddle, and they wouldn't be real great for doing what we're doing. So we're going to keep the breakfast in the main dining room, and that also keeps about 6 hours of heat out of that kitchen. So kind of a twofold approach to that. But we're always looking to try to make things better for you all. I'm very sorry that this has happened, but it's just something we're all going to have to roll with until that equipment shows up, but I'm glad at least we're getting it. So thank you, Ms. Williams. I appreciate that reminder. All right, good. All right, I'll be here afterwards. Thank you so much.
So I shared my good news earlier. Here's the bad news. My air conditioning at home broke this weekend. Fortunately, like David's team, I have my second floor that has air conditioning, but my first floor doesn't. So after cooking yesterday for the 4th of July, I quickly ran upstairs to cool down and came back. And when I think about that team working in a 100-degree kitchen, they do get to come out of that kitchen every now and then and cool down in the atrium area. So that made me feel a little bit better. Okay, Florence is next.
Good afternoon. I'm Florence Brooks, Director of Resident Life and Wellness, which, as some of you may know, includes transportation services, concierge services, pastoral services, the clinic and the independent living social workers, and all the lifestyle offerings, including the trips and programs, the creative expression studio, and the strength and endurance offerings. So lots of people go, I'm not sure exactly what you do. So hopefully that'll help. Hope and health. Hope and health. How could two seemingly different things be connected? There was research that was recently released by the Mather Institute, an organization dedicated to bettering the lives of adults, older adults, And this research showed that people who develop a hopeful disposition are more likely to practice healthy lifestyle behaviors, feel positive about the future, and have a greater sense of well-being. So when you came to Cedarfield, I don't know what your expectations were, but our hope is that you might be well while you live here, and that you might indeed live a rich life. The Mather Institute suggests that there are actual strategies that you can implement to become more hopeful. What are those strategies? Set goals for yourself, such as walking or learning a foreign language. Break up the goals into smaller goals. If your goal is to walk 45 minutes a day, start by just walking outside your door for 15 minutes. Keep realistic expectations. If it's raining and a friend you were looking forward to joining you from off campus, on campus for lunch can't make it, still talk with them by phone. Don't break the date entirely. Develop a purpose in life. Volunteer in the Cedar Chest or Shop 2300. Consider providing philanthropic support, create art, or write your story. Nurture your hobbies. By pursuing your passions. That might be gardening, traveling, storytelling, or learning history. I had a resident tell me that they had always wanted to garden, but they had lived such a busy life with their job that it wasn't until they came to Cedarfield and began to be a garden angel that they began to enjoy having the routine of being out in the garden on a weekly basis. Challenge yourself. It might be as simple as completing a crossword puzzle, writing an article, or giving a lecture. Katrin will schedule you for that lecture. You just let her know what you want to talk about. Or learn a new art medium. Try new things. New skills such as singing, and we have a wonderful worship choir on Sunday mornings, can bring real joy in this season of life, combined with creating new friendships. Engage in a social activity, such as joining a book club, a committee, or arranging a family get-together here at Cedarfield. Practice reflection, meditation, a gratitude journal, or simply spending time enjoying yourself outside in one of the many beautiful places on this campus or on one of the little porches that are tucked away can reduce stress, increase self-awareness, appreciation for life, and help one think more positively about the future. Hope and health. It's available to you, to each of you, with some intention and effort. If you're looking for some concrete ideas on how you might become more hopeful, consider some of the following opportunities this month. On Wednesday mornings throughout July, there are wellness breaks in the Hub from 9:30 to 11 a.m. I understand 55 residents enjoyed smoothies in the Hub this morning. On Friday, July the 14th, consider attending the Cadence Youth Cabaret performance at 2:30 in the Fellowship Hall and enjoy the song and dance of a very talented group of Richmond youth singing Broadway tunes. Find out more about a new class we are partnering with Health Pro Heritage to offer called Steady Sports in Motion. This class, which for the first one will be limited to 16 participants, is set to begin in August. A question and answer session will be held on Thursday, July the 20th in the Prima Club Room at 11 a.m. And then there's Christmas in July. On that same day of July the 20th, in the afternoon from 2 to 3:30, right here in the Fellowship Hall. Come enjoy a little holiday feeling and consider sharing a Christmas memory to be published in our Christmas Memories booklet, which is distributed every December. Hope and health. Let us support you in your wellness journey. Any questions? A few more things. Hopefully you should have received, I believe, earlier this week, your new phone directories. Those came out in June. The next edition will come out in October. If there's something about it that needs changing, just let Mariah know. She can make those edits. You should have received the annual copy either electronically or in print if you requested one of our Cedarfield handbook that was distributed in May. If you have questions in more depth about items in the handbook, please reach out to me. I'll be glad to get those answers for you and see if we can provide that information better in the next edition. Please reach out if I can help you with anything. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Florence. Stephanie.
Good afternoon. Florence is always a tough act to follow. I'm hopeful that by next month our openings will be decreased. We currently have 5 full-time openings at Cedarfield. We have an RN clinical leader, 1 fitness instructor, dining manager, the director of dining, and 1 maintenance technician. And then of course we have every other weekend supervisors open for part-time. 7 part-time CNAs, and then 4 part-time LPN positions. So we're looking much better than we have for the last year or so. We have hired an associate executive director. Her name is Caitlin. She'll be starting in August, the middle of August. And we've hired a volunteer coordinator. Her name is Meredith, and she'll be starting in the middle of July. So when they come, please welcome them to Cedarfield. In orientation today, we have 1 part-time server. Her name is MJ, and you'll be seeing her in the dining room shortly. That's all I have. Any questions? Thank you.
Question, Ms. Rose. Hold on one second, the microphone's coming.
On the associate executive director, where will that the emphasis of that person be?
So our new position, the associate executive director, will have oversight over the healthcare center, but also be working in independent living to get to know you and assist me in communications and committees and things of that nature. So her name again is Caitlin. What we will do is introduce her in an upcoming newsletter or in a communication piece and talk a little bit about what her responsibilities will be. You'll have that in writing. Any other questions about our new hires? Okay. Actually, next on the agenda is our core report, core document review, but I'm going to ask, if you don't mind, Ms. Williams, if you don't mind coming up first and doing a council report for us. David Taylor is also with us from the business office. He did not have anything to share new this month, but he will be here after the meeting to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
A brief update from our meeting last week. I was asked if I would share a copy of the letter from Lisa Hahn and Kevin Bruni, the president or chair of the board and the secretary of the board of Pinnacle Living, to me as president of Residents Council, indicating that we would not be getting a resident on the board. I have received permission to share that with you. I was also asked to share my response. So today or tomorrow, all area reps should receive those letters, and I have asked that they share them with their residents. So they'll probably do that the way they normally share minutes. Also at last week's meeting, I talked about the Vision Award, which is the highest award that can be given to team members and is given by Residents Council. It has not been done since 2021 when Laurie Ryu won that award. So also in that communication from me to all area reps is the format for recommending someone, and I've asked the area reps to meet with their area residents to talk about what team members they think most deserve this. And they could have more than one team member they think is worthy of the award. So please be very clear about why you're recommending this person for an award. It's to be awarded at our February meeting, and I know this seems early to start, but since we have not awarded any in several years, I would like for us to have a top-notch, and we have so many top-notch team members. It should not be hard for us to come up with one or more names, because it says we can award more than one. Those recommendations, those nominations will go to Stephanie Bercume, and then she will see that I get them so that the Residents Council Executive Group can review them and come up with the person or persons we think deserve that. Any questions? Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. The projector is warming up. This is when you would typically hear we're experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by. Okay. For some reason, I am starting on my third slide, but I will do a quick introduction. Our accessibility plan is something that we as a leadership team and team members are encouraged to give input to. Over the last few years, we've encouraged residents to also provide input into our accessibility plan. Our environmental services team has worked with the committee to come up with our plan in years past. And as part of my personal goals, I am going to share that information with you folks, at least on a yearly basis. As things change, we'll call the committee together to discuss changes and implementation as we go along. But accessibility plan does not just mean wheelchair accessible and doors and lighting. It has other components as well. Our plan includes an architectural review, an environmental review, an attitudinal review, financial review, employment review, communication review, technology review, and a transportation review. Eddie, I'm afraid to press the next slide. Yes, okay. The first on our list is our architectural barriers. So over the last week or so, I've been reviewing the plan that our team and our resident committee has worked on and have summarized our architectural barriers as automatic doors, which close too quickly. Have any of you experienced that? I'm going to go over the barrier, the solution, and then the action. So we have doors that have been reported on site that close too quickly. So if you have a walker or a wheelchair, you might not be able to get through that door right quickly. So we are doing an assessment of all of the doors. If you have experienced a door that you feel closes too quickly, our elevator doors would be included. I know our elevator doors are pretty slow to close because I've been counting when I'm in the elevator how many seconds it takes. But it's important that those with walkers or wheelchairs or who walk not quite as quickly as others have the opportunity to walk through doorways safely. So we will adjust the tension on some doors. We will consider automatic doors where we need them. I've seen some pop up over the building over the last couple of years. There's one at the administrative entrance that works well right now, and we'll also encourage us to consider others in other places. How many of you have an idea how much an automatic door costs? Anybody? Lacey was $5,000 for an automatic door. So that's one of the reasons why we don't have them everywhere in the building. The second thing we looked at as an architectural barrier are several doors are hard to operate and heavy. That goes back to, the lighting, which is inadequate in certain places of the building. There are areas that are dark. We will assess those areas. If there's an area that you think is particularly dark, someone stopped me about the art gallery right outside the administrative offices. about those lights. We will look into additional lighting or replacing light bulbs with LED lights because that could make a considerable difference. The next area that we reviewed is environmental barriers. The interior design often has concerns that don't necessarily take into play someone's vision impairments or cognitive impairments. So do you all know what people with dementia, the last color they are losing sight of? Yellow. So yellow is the color that people with dementia can see. So many places that, especially dementia care centers, are painted yellow or have yellow accents. We need to keep things like that in mind when we decorate our building in the future. Not only for those with cognitive impairments, but with sight impairments. If the color of our carpet and the colors of our chairs are the same, we might be causing difficulty for someone who wants to sit down who has low vision. So moving forward, we will include residents who might have some visual impairments in selecting some of these furnishings for us, as well as consult if we need to with our therapy department to help make suggestions that are more appropriate for residents, especially as they age. We talked a little bit about maps earlier in this meeting. Maps are kind of complex for some. I'm not great with maps. I love to put my directions in my phone and have, while I drive, the computer tell me which way to go, left or right. I see other people nodding their head that works for them too. Our maps are complex. We will look at simplifying some of our maps, labeling things a little bit more clearly. We talked about names earlier. We talked about what we call our memory care center. It might be easier to put on our map the name of the neighborhood, but also put next to it memory care, right? I see also nods to that as well. So those are things that we need to pay particular attention to moving forward, because we've heard from you and we've heard from guests and people who work here as well that it causes some confusion. The next are attitudinal barriers. So one is the lack of understanding about the services offered at each level of care. It's difficult to come to somebody and say, okay, you've lived in independent living a long time, now it's time to move to assisted living, and you not know what the difference is between assisted living and independent living, or assisted living and healthcare. So by educating people about what services are involved and what amenities are involved, I think it would be easier for people to understand what the next level of care might be for themselves and maybe be more accepting when it's time for a move. I know that a few months ago, our social work team and our assisted living team got together and did a presentation about levels of care, and I heard that that was very popular and was well received. We need to do more meetings about things like that, as well as small group meetings so people can ask questions. The next thing on our attitudinal barrier list is fear and difficulty going back to pre-COVID mentality. Residents will have a desire to go back to what things were like before, but there are still many residents that are concerned that there's COVID in the building. That's one of the reasons why we post on our in-house TV station that there's COVID in the building. So to make people feel better about that, we're going to infuse in meetings and in communications reports from the CDC, from our infection control nurse. We'll provide educational sessions and continue to offer our clinic boosters, because many people feel better having their boosters administered here as opposed to going to a doctor's office or CVS. So financial barriers are the ones that we have quite a few recommendations for. So one of our financial barriers are team members who aspire to obtain further education, but sometimes cannot afford the classes or have the means to do so. So we offer scholarship funds here. We also offer the opportunity of staff development through educational sessions that are offered here. We have nurses right now who are assisting CNAs who are becoming med techs so that they could better their career and move forward and potentially do more than just provide hands-on care. They can also do medications once they go through those classes. So education is something that we value, and we're going to continue to offer opportunities for team members to gain education and better themselves. Also, team members and others who are directly affected or are directly involved at Cedarfield might encounter a crisis and might need help. In the past, our Angel Fund has helped people who needed to go overseas to funerals because loved ones had passed away, or might have had a fire in their house. This Angel Fund is there for residents, team members, and anybody who is connected to Cedarfield to be able to access in case of a catastrophic event in their life. And we do that through the raising money, through advertising for the Angel Fund, and also just providing assistance in other ways that aren't necessarily financial as well, providing resources for people. Residents have outlived their resources, right? We have the Samaritan Fund that's available to help with financial barriers if a resident has moved in and been a resident here and has outlived their resources. One of the big things that made us reevaluate our pay structure last year was the cost of living here in the Richmond area in particular has gone up. And many people say that a fair living wage is $18 an hour. Could you imagine $18 an hour? Not many people who are in entry-level jobs make that much money. We as an organization last year committed to increasing our minimum wage to $15 an hour, and moving forward, we will continue to evaluate that to ensure that our team members are making enough money to be able to live comfortably, and also that we can continue to recruit good team members and be competitive with other organizations on the outside. Employment barriers, commuting. Has anybody seen the cost of gas lately? I heard yesterday that, was it Sheetz? Sheetz was offering $1.76 or $1.77 for a gallon of gas, but many people who took advantage of that sat in lines that were about an hour long. Gas and getting people to work is something that we've considered over the years, but now that the costs of gas have gone up, we continue to evaluate how we can help people get to work. That might be giving out gift cards to Wawa and other gas stations. That might be helping team members find others who live in their areas and creating carpools. It might be offering shuttle bus services, which we have done in the past as well. We will continue to evaluate those needs and talk with our team members to ensure that they have enough money to get to work, and if they have issues getting to work, that we help provide them with options. Another employment barrier is that we want to make sure that applicants understand our existing positions. Similar to the names of our neighborhood, we have in recent years renamed a lot of our job titles. So though a life enhancer might be someone who we understand here is a CNA or someone who provides direct care in our healthcare center, when advertising on the internet, if someone comes across the name life enhancer, they might not be quite sure if they have the ability to do that job. So we're a little bit more detailed in our job descriptions that we advertise now. We also include salary ranges because people want to know that if they apply for jobs, that they can afford to leave their current jobs because of the salary being offered in our community. Communication barriers is another area where we see room for improvement. Residents with low or no hearing have trouble hearing here in the fellowship hall. This is not a new issue for us. What we have done in planning for renovations to the fellowship hall is to ensure that the new sound system is one that those who have hearing issues will be able to hear. I see some people clapping in the back of the room. And we will have residents come in and test out that sound system before we make the commitment to put that in. Other areas are residents that are homebound and watch our live stream, find it not to be effective all the time. I met with a resident after our last town hall meeting and they said, I tried to watch, but there was a delay. So your mouth was going like this and the words that were coming out were not lining up. So what we will do is, as well, when we do our major renovation in here, is make sure all of the equipment provides the best means for communication for residents who come into the fellowship hall to view the program or decide to watch it from home. The next communication barrier is that some of our team members don't speak English very well, and we have a hard time sharing information about safety and changes to benefits and things of that nature. What we try to do is utilize other native speakers who work here in the community to help translate, but we also allow for translators to come in and help make sure that, especially during the orientation time, that the new team member understands everything that we're relaying to them. Another communication barrier is Wi-Fi and cell phone service. I am constantly checking my phone to see how many lines I have. There are places in the building where I can't make a phone call, right? I need to go outside or find another area. And again, moving forward in our renovations, and just as more people move in and have higher needs for technology, we will improve our Wi-Fi and cell phone coverage and also put in repeaters in specific areas of the building where we have deficits. Names of households are confusing. We heard that earlier today. Again, we will make sure that when we install signage and we do communications, until everyone feels comfortable, and this might take a very long time, that we use descriptive words to also describe our neighborhoods. So instead of just saying Poppy Place, we can say the healthcare neighborhood on the 4th floor or the Medicare neighborhood, just to make sure that you know what we're talking about when we use the names. This is one that came up with residents, and we talked about this in our committee meeting. Residents and team members don't necessarily know that a work order has been received through the use of our Work Hubs program, and Lacey has said that now we're getting emails back once a work order is put in, and that seems to have helped with communication a bit. Transportation, some residents with mobility issues cannot transport themselves to the town center from our licensed areas. We'll work with our volunteer coordinator to have people available to get them to programs and events. Sometimes residents find it hard to have transportation after hours. Again, this isn't a new problem, and we've been working over the years to make that a little bit more seamless for you. There are now cards that share who to get in touch with, and we have an arrangement with an outside resource to provide rides home from doctor's appointments and hospitals when we don't have somebody here in the transportation department. Technology barriers, some of the same things. Team members lack the knowledge of how to use My Cedarfield app. How many have My Cedarfield app on their phones? It's a wonderful resource. I use it probably every day. Not all team members have that. We want team members to have it and be able to use it as a resource, to be able to know what's going on in the building, where a resident might live. So we're going to work with residents to make sure, work with team members to make sure that they have that ability. Many of our residents don't feel completely comfortable with technology. We're going to work as well to make sure that information is given out in more ways than just through your app or on TV. We'll also work with local schools to help provide training sessions and maybe even establish a help desk that volunteers run, so that when your Apple product is having problems or you can't get your iPad to start or shut off, that there'll be someone here to ask about that. So the takeaways: accessibility is not just about handicap parking. We have all areas of accessibility, and it's something that we review on a regular basis. Accessibility affects residents, team members, and stakeholders, visitors, guests to the building. To improve, we will need to work together, get input from you. When you experience a door that closes too quickly and you think it's dangerous, let us know. If you go back to your apartment and you can't get internet service, or your phone isn't working the way it should, let us know. It's extremely important that we get input from residents in moving forward with our plan. We will review this quarterly as a leadership team and bring this to the town hall meeting once a year unless there's something that we need input from immediately. And if that's the case, we'll communicate to you through communication, either through a bulletin board post or on our in-house TV station. Any questions about accessibility? Okay, I need someone with a microphone, please. Mariah, thank you.
A couple of years ago, Cedarfield paid a contractor to remove the yellow paint that was on stairs across at the hub and also elsewhere. Is there any plan to replace that paint? And I have a second question.
Okay, I'm looking at Lacey. It was before Lacey. Lacey said something we can look into. We'll look into that.
Second question is, people have described confusion, that's putting it mildly, with the names over in the health area. It sounds like from what you're saying, we're planning to keep those names.
I have not heard that we're planning to change those names. For the meantime, we're keeping those names. And that's why I think we need to be a little bit more descriptive when we say Magnolia Meadow or different areas of care and not describe exactly where they are or who they service.
To whom do we report our concerns about accessibility?
So we have an accessibility team. It's comprised of both team members and residents. Can we produce that list? Lacey, can we do that? We'll put together the list and we'll put it on the bulletin board, so if you have an issue, you know who to report it to. Chaplain?
I know for Verizon, and I'm sure it's for some other carriers as well, if you leave your apartment and you're paying for internet service there for Wi-Fi, and go out into another area, and then you come back, and your Wi-Fi is not working, it's very slow, just go in your settings and make sure that it has changed back. Because when I go out, it changes to Xfinity, and it's slower than I'll get out, so.
Very good point, helpful hint. So that happens to me all the time if I take my laptop home with me. It's so slow and I realize it's still pretty much logged into my Cedarfield website or network, and I have to switch it back to my Verizon at home. Sometimes it switches automatically, sometimes it doesn't. Any other questions about our accessibility plan? Any other questions about anything in general? Anybody think of any other good news? Okay, the good news is that our leadership team is here and we'll stick around to answer any of the questions you have on an individual basis. Thanks for coming out and spending some time with us this afternoon. Have a good day.